Oh, okay. Continue.
Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Wendy. So Wendy, welcome.
Hi, Kendrick. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you too.
For sure. I like that little observer thing. It said it made that noise.
I know there was a thing that came up. It was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So tell us what your official type is. Can you give us the full type?
Oh, okay. Oh gosh. So double feminine, SEFI, consume, play, blast, sleep.
Okay, so you are an
Yep.
ESFP, and you are like
Yep.
a very extroverted ESFP.
Yeah, which it's the usual. Oh, I don't think I'm extroverted. I'm very introverted. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it
Uh,
has that kind of feeling with it.
what did you think, and how did you feel when you got your
Oh, okay.
result?
I wasn't too surprised because I think I'd had enough classes and preparation that I realized that I'm pretty much undeniably a sensor because I did try, even in my videos, I rewatched them and saw so much sensory. And then I thought, no, I'm an intuitive. And so I actually tried to re-record them and not have details. And it was pretty much impossible. So it was like, okay, I think I'm a sensor. And then I knew I was on the TEFI spectrum, but I wasn't sure which one was on top because I think with me, I'm double activated on the TE. So I feel very ST, like, and I feel like all my conversations are ST. But at the same time, when I look at my videos, I'm just like, wow, ooh, ooh. So like there's a lot of emotion there as well. And it was like, oh, okay, but what's in my head feels very ST. So yeah, so there was that. And yeah, like I wasn't too surprised. And the other thing was I thought I was a decider because I just spent all my time talking about people. But I think what I didn't notice was I was double deciding about people while I was talking about them. So yeah, so like when I looked at it, it all made sense.
Yeah, the double decider thing is kind of funny because like in real life when I talk to people too, and I can tell now who's a double decider and who's not like pretty quickly because the double decider will like let's say they're trying to say something nice about a person, but after they say
Yeah.
something nice about the person, they'll say something bad about the person too. So it's like it's like it's balance, right? It's like
Yeah. I feel like I do it the opposite way though. Like I say something mean and then I think, oh, that's too mean. I have to say something nice. And I think that's probably the DI coming before the DE. Like
yeah,
I have the judgment first and then I think, oh, wait a second, that wasn't nice. I have to go, especially because my DE is F. So
yeah,
it's like, oh, I've got to, smooth everything out. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's a good point. Actually, I never thought about that because I just had a conversation with a coworker who I think is an IJ who is tribe of himself. So I heard her say nice things
Okay.
about about the person first,
Yeah.
and then later on she said bad things about the person, like within the same frame. But maybe for
Yeah.
someone that's DI, you say the bad things first, and then you say the good things after to kind of balance it
Yeah,
out.
because it's like, it's the jerk first and then the nice person comes afterwards.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
yeah.
Um, so you are double activated on a TE, which
Mm,
so it's kind of interesting for your type because you're self above tribe, right? So talk about being self
mm.
above tribe first.
Yeah. So I can talk about this in terms of my self-typing journey because I think maybe it might help people who are in the same boat. Because what I found was I knew sort of that I was making decisions, like it was me, like it was DI, but at the same time, I related to all of Shan's EJ stories. And that's why I was like, am I an EJ? Or am I an IP who thinks they're an EJ or an EJ who thinks they're an IP? Because I was thinking I was single decider. And so I think it really is that just that if you know you're the one who's making the decisions, you're a DI. It doesn't matter how much you do for the tribe, like because people with double activated DE do a lot for the tribe anyway. But it's just you're making the decisions. Like you're not taking into other people's opinions when you want to. Well, like I do pull the tribe a little bit, but ultimately it's me like who makes those decisions. I kind of factor in other people, but it's based on what I think ultimately. So I think, that's really what the key to DI is. Like, it's not really any of the behaviors, it's that decision making process.
Okay, so you make the decision,
Mm,
um, and when it comes to the tribe, you only take a little bit of feedback, but mostly it's you.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, or
yeah,
else I find it fairly easy to discount tribe feedback. Like, I go, well, like, I know I should kind of listen to them, but not always. Like, because,
when do you listen to tribe feedback then? Like
mm.
what would have to happen first? Like
Um,
when you get tribe hate or
Well,
something?
oh yeah. Like I think because of the double activation and it's feminine, I'm very sensitive to tribe hate. So I will capitulate. But inside I always know what I really think and what I really feel. but on the outside I can be like la 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 and go along with everything. So but yeah, you can. I have a stubborn streak in me that you can push me to a certain extent, but when you hit that stubborn streak, it's just like a rock, and I'm just not going to move for anyone. So yeah, so I think that's where I can really feel that DI.
Is it because you're double activated? Not double, you're double masculine inside. Would you say?
Yeah, yeah. But that's very last. So I feel like I guess yeah, maybe yeah, because people are pushing me right to that brink,
Right, right.
and yeah, that's where it kind of hits because my DI is my savior DI is linked to consume. So that's got nothing to do with actually taking action in a sense. Like that's just me doing taking stuff. I guess that's me saying no to things, but I also find it difficult to say no to things because of the double activation on TE, which was why I thought maybe I'm an EJ because I just say yes to things. And yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Like I think my type is a bit strange.
It could be because you're feminine, TE. It's feminine.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
going
why.
along with things. Like even
Yeah,
now, I'm like, yeah. So,
yeah.
so it's like,
That's funny.
but no, I actually do believe. Yeah, I actually do agree with that. And I think also, I was a church person, and church kind of trains you to be quite obedient and quite, um, be very community minded. And I think that was a good experience for me in terms of me getting over my DI. So
Yeah,
yeah, that wasn't a bad thing.
gotcha. Um, yeah, I feel like church is like an ISFJ. That's what I feel like because it's
Yeah.
like there's like a tribe values and you have to adhere to it. That's
Oh
what I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah. And I was always kind of like breaking those rules, and you know how David and Chan describe it as slapping bears and not knowing, like you just kind of walk in and you kind of slap bears and you kind of offend people without even knowing it. And
Yeah,
I think I did that a fair amount, but everyone's so FE nice that they don't really tell me off.
yeah,
And then, but you can sense when you've said something wrong or you've done something to change the mood and stuff.
right.
It's like,
Yeah, yeah. You can
oh
feel the
yeah,
vibe. You can feel the vibe, right? Change.
yeah, you can feel the vibe change. And also, there was always, people get into groups naturally. And I was often on the outside. Like I would kind of move between, like there were lots of different groups and I would kind of move between them all. But I don't feel like I was ever part of any group, like, like a solid part of any group. So,
Yeah.
so I feel like maybe SEFI is just able to kind of flow, especially the feminine one, they're able to flow between the states, but may not necessarily belong anywhere.
Did you grow up in Australia or were you born in Australia?
I did. Yeah, I was born in Australia, but
Okay.
I spent my first 5 years. My mum is, I think she's sleep first. She's a double introvert, and she's very shy, very quiet. So she kept us at home for the first 5 years, and she spoke. My parents spoke exclusively Cantonese to us, so we spoke exclusively back. So we didn't have many friends growing up, like outside the family, and going to school. That was kind of a culture shock because I had to learn English. Like I knew English, but I didn't speak it. So I kind of had to get over that. So I think it was difficult for me the first few years of school because, getting past my own shyness that I'd learned from my family and yeah, and language barriers and stuff.
It feels like they probably did it on purpose because like if you live in an English country, by default you're gonna learn it like pretty easily, right? So
Mm.
and then like with the Cantonese, if you don't learn it when you're young, you're never gonna learn it. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's really good. Like, although my Cantonese is so bad now, I feel really bad.
yeah,
It's
but
just,
you know
oh, I wish
enough,
I
right?
knew it.
You know
I know
enough,
enough.
right?
I can watch TV. I can watch TV. I can carry on a very basic conversation, but because like I don't speak Cantonese at all, really.
Yeah,
So yeah, like my husband does. He's fluent actually. So
yeah.
I've always told him it's his job to teach the kids Cantonese
Wait,
because
do you speak English with your husband?
yes,
That's funny because you're both Cantonese.
yeah, I know. Well, his cousins call him a banana because yellow on the outside,
Right,
white
right.
on the inside. That's probably one of those slapping bear moments. It's like, oh, probably shouldn't say that. But yeah. So we're both fairly Australian. Like I think of his cousins, he's got a million cousins. He's the most Australian out of all of them,
Yeah,
and so he found the essentially Australian Chinese person to yeah
but he
to
speaks
be.
fluent Cantonese though, even though he's a banana. So it's
Yeah, yeah. Like he watches a lot of I think because he grew up in Hong Kong.
oh,
So
okay.
he came to Australia when he was 8. So it was harder for him to assimilate. And also I think he's an IP. So for him it's doubly harder because he's like, I'm not gonna assimilate to this, like
Yeah.
this is dumb. So,
Right.
yeah, he had a rougher time.
Yeah, with the ITs, I find them to be interesting because it depends what they've locked into. Like,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this year.
Well, the funny thing is, I jump between is he TI or FE because he's really developed his FE. Like, but I think he uses it as a tool. Like he just kind of goes, well, this is useful to have in business, like to get along with people. He calls it soft skills, and so he's just learned it, and he just kind of emulates it, and he's really good at it. So it's kind of like that's freaky when I see him in that mode.
For all you know, he's an IJ because you're an EP, right? So you're probably gonna end up dating an IJ.
Well, yeah. Well, what first attracted me to him because that was when I knew a bit about MBTI, like the vanilla form of MBTI.
Yeah.
I thought he was an INTJ, and at that stage, I thought I was an INFP, and so I thought, oh, ENFP and INTJ, are meant to be the couple in MBTI.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, like maybe we can be together, kind of thing, because he's this mysterious IJ.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's an IJ. He's too, or he could be a chaotic IJ. Like the chaotic ones with the double OE following behind the
Yeah,
OI.
that's my girlfriend.
All right.
Yeah, she's double activated on the SE at the bottom. And
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
yeah, she's an INTJ, right?
She's
Yeah.
feminine though, isn't she? Like I think, yeah, I remember seeing a video and she came across very feminine, like as in double feminine.
She's double feminine, jumper, INTJ, NI, FI, sleep consume, play blast, and
Oh,
yeah,
that means she's got double masculine NIFI at the top.
oh, so she always tells people that she feels like a dude or like very like
Yeah, I feel like that too.
yeah, but then when you
Manliness.
yeah, but then when you ask people on the outside, they're like, no, she's super cute, and then they're like, she's like, what? So it's like, yeah, the inside and the outside is kind of weird because it's like double masculine people. They feel like they're like, oh, I feel so feminine inside, and then they're like, no, you're masculine.
I know. I think that, but I really like that. I really love double masculine people. I find them very cute. Like, I know that's not the impression they technically give, but I find them cute. It's just like, oh, I can see the softness inside. So,
well, it's probably because you're double feminine, so you like the double masculine. So it's like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll protect, like, I always feel like I need to protect them, which is interesting because, they're the ones protecting everyone else in reality.
I think you're protecting your feelings, if anything,
Yeah. Looking after the protecting my own feelings.
Well, their feelings, because
their feelings. Yeah,
because you're strong inside, you're double masculine inside, right? So you're like, you can take yeah.
That's right. It's like I'll just punch people for you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the rock inside.
Okay, let's talk about that since we're on that topic already. So your double masculine NF sleep.
Yeah.
Like, when does it come out? Can you use it on command, or does it only come out when you're pushed against, like, let's say you have your back against the wall and you crack, like someone like.
Well, it's yeah. Like I'm getting like I find it really interesting because I had to redefine a lot of what I understood about the functions with ops, and I thought I was NFing all the time before. Like that's why I was like, oh, I'm an INFP, and then I realized I didn't use any, so I did the jump to I'm an INFJ, which very much not. So I feel like when I'm writing, like my writing is when NF comes out. And the reason I know it's a demon is because I find it embarrassing. Like I look at my own writing and it's embarrassingly real, I guess. It's very vulnerable. It's very exposing myself. And then I just don't want to show it to anyone, which is a problem because I'm trying to be a writer, which is like, yeah, you kind of have to show that to people. But the thing is, if it's double masculine, I should be able to stand firm on it. But maybe because it's the demon, so it's right at the end, that kind of negates a little bit of that double masculinity. But in terms of being like the really hard ass, that only comes out if I'm really, 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 really mad. And that's difficult for me because of the double deciding and the balance of my DI and DE. They're fairly balanced. So you have to really push me to get me to that stage. And I've never fully let it out because I'm worried about what damage I could do in that state. But I give people warnings, like, in the tone, and like I get very icy cold when I'm in that state. Like that's why I thought I might be FETI, because I thought maybe I'm FE all the time, and then I hit my TI state when I hit my sleep. But yeah, I feel very cold. Like everything becomes very logical, very black and white. But maybe it's like overwhelming FI rage, which I'm feeling, which
Yeah.
I don't see as feeling, because I guess mostly feeling is a positive thing for me. So it could be that. But yeah, I've never let it out. Like I call it the tiger in the cage, because it's like if I open that cage, I don't know what's going to happen. Like all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah.
So yeah. But in reality, I feel like if I did let it out, I'd probably like go smack someone, right, punch someone and then like run away or something. Because
Yeah.
ultimately I'm double feminine. So yeah, there's not much behind that.
Your sleep is also NF, so it's correlated with purpose. Like,
Yeah.
so do you have trouble finding your purpose or your
Yeah.
meaning in your life? Would you say? Because that's cool.
Yeah, I think that actually is the biggest struggle for me. Like I think I don't run into big tidal waves in the sense that I run into problems with the tribe. I don't run into tidal waves like massive chaos that I've caused hits my life. I get small chaotic waves, but it's stuff I can deal with because I've got the play energy to deal with it. But in terms of actually finding what I want to do and what's going to be the most meaningful thing in my life, that that I don't know. Like it could be yeah, I actually have, yeah, because during, I've had a month and a bit to think about this because I thought I want to come up with an answer for Kendrick, but I couldn't. and just everything I feel like that's important feels like it just gets knocked over really easily. And I think that's the double activation on play. It's that I'm obligated to the world. And so if the world throws something at me, that just knocks over any plan I had. And I'm constantly updating as well. Like I'm constantly seeing new things. So yeah, so I find it very, very difficult to think of something that's important enough to me that I can stick to it, for potentially the rest of my life.
Right.
So yeah, that's my big struggle.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant, he wrote a book. He's an ESFP like you, right? Like he's consumed sleep,
Okay. Yep.
play
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book, Mamba Mentality. So I thought it was a really good book because he talks about like his goals in life and whatnot. So I thought it was the
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll have a
maybe
look at that one.
you should read it because it's like
Yeah.
your type, right? Like, and except he has that NF as a savior.
Yeah. He's got the sleep up there. Yeah. Like I kind of envy that because without that, I know how useful it is to have that up there rather than at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like him at first, but then when I watched all his interviews,
Okay.
like I'm like, oh my god, I really like him now. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's so processed. Like his feelings are so well processed. Like like he could answer any questions like right away. Like for example, like he had an interview with Lewis House, and he asked him, it's like, what's your weakness? That
Oh,
you,
okay.
and
And
he said, I have no compassion.
oh,
And
right. So he immediately just
he's
went.
like, yeah, he just said, I have no
Yeah.
compassion. It was something I had to
Yeah.
learn because, sometimes people are having a bad day and I just didn't care. But later
All
on, when he
right.
got older, he realized like, oh, I need to. Not everyone's gonna think like him. Like he's so single-minded, focused on being the best basketball player that everyone
Yeah.
else suffers, right? But
Yeah.
he's aware of that. He's like, yeah, my relationship with other people, they suffer. I know it. I get it. It is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even when he won on Oscars, I don't know if you knew that, but he won on Oscars, right?
No, no, sorry.
No,
I didn't really watch his class, so yeah.
Well, no, it's just weird because he's a basketball player and he won an Oscars, which is like the pinnacle of
Yeah.
like filmmaking, right? And
Yeah. Did he
and he
make a
said,
documentary or something? Or
yeah, it's called Dear Basketball, and then and
okay.
it was really good actually. And he said people said, oh, you got lucky. He's like, no, it wasn't luck. He's like, I planned for it. It was something
I
that
built it, I made it.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
like he read all the books on how to make a film and how to write a story,
Oh yeah,
and then
consume. Yeah.
yeah, no, that NF sleep is super crazy, is super cool. Like he even said after his basketball career was over, he knew what he was going to do next as his main
Yeah.
focus. He was going to be a storyteller,
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was like wondering. I'm like, oh my god, like if you can tap into that like NF sleep, that is like magic. That is like,
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned storytelling because yeah, it is the writing thing. Like I've always loved writing, and I know I have messages that I want to convey. I guess that's my demon blast.
right,
But it's that having that sense of self confidence, that anything I say is worthy of note, and that anyone will want to hear what I say and things like that. Like there's a lot of self confidence issues, and I think it's partly because of the double OE because I know all the stuff that's out there. Like I know that there's so much good stuff out there, and you see the spectrum.
Right.
So yeah, and that can be an impediment, and that's why I need to kind of narrow down on my OE so that I'm not seeing so much cool stuff, so I can think that, hey, my stuff might be worth it. So yeah, it's weird because I have the DI, which should be self above tribe and everything, but at the same time, I'm kind of aware that the tribe is producing lots of really amazing stuff. So like, yeah.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to be a perfectionist, or do you just want to do something that makes you feel happy? So it's different. It's like, if you're
Yeah,
being
that's true.
if you're being a perfectionist, you'll never get anything out there, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have to start out with like crappy work first before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a writing course, and the entire writing course was about that.
Yeah.
But of course, that's a lesson that it's like, okay, I've learned it, toss it out the back and just continue on.
Be a
So
perfectionist again.
yeah, or just, yeah, it's that consume over blast. It's so annoying. It just means I don't do stuff. That's why I thought for a while I was blast last as well, because I just feel like, the never get started thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But I mean, you're balanced with consume and blast still in a way, because you have blast in your
Oh
first
yeah,
three.
they're both in the 3. Yeah. At least,
So,
yeah, I was kind of relieved when I saw that with my results. I was like, okay, well, I've got at least a bit of blast. So yeah, but
yeah. But
yeah.
it's third. I feel like when it's third, it's still you can still get really good at it, because
Yeah, I know it's not, that could be the challenge, the goal to work. Maybe that's my life's purpose, to work on my blast. So
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe at first you gotta go with a blast, and then later on you can go with a sleep. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
because I was thinking of, a really good function flow. And
Yeah.
I thought consume, play, sleep, blast, if you can get to the blast, is really good, because then you know your purpose before you hit the blast. Or even possibly sleep at the very beginning, because then you know your purpose and then you consume about it. And I don't know, like a lot of this is with consume bias, of course, because I think consume
Right.
is so important.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to. I think for everyone's different. Like to
Yeah.
figure out your purpose. I think it comes out in the most. It's like what David Chan says. It's like when you go to darkness, that's when you find it, right? So
Yeah.
it,
Well, yeah. Yeah.
well, like for you, for example, you're scared to get embarrassed if you put something out there, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but I
Scared of
think,
criticism, tribe hate. Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's what's gonna help you find that NF sleep, because
Mm.
you get sucked into like a dark hole, right? When you get all this criticism and all this like hate. Yeah.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Like do the David Goggins and turn that, and make myself happy based on all that hate. I'm the happiest person alive because I use all that hate and use it for motivation.
Yeah, like the hate is like the fire that illuminates that sleep that you can't see right now, So
Well, I have to say, yeah, there is actually a lot of truth in that, because I was watching this guy. He has the same problem. I think he's got the same stacking as me, but he was giving advice over the internet with his blast, and he was talking about how to get over creative block. And he was saying one of the things you can use is spite. Just use all the spite you have of people criticizing you,
yeah,
and use that energy to produce. And that
right.
really, really appealed to me, because it was like, yeah, I got a lot of spite. Like I can use
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't use anything positive. Use negative. So it's like, okay, well, whatever gets you going.
I feel I can relate to what you said earlier about the tiger in the cage, because
Oh yeah.
like like I'm aware of my SF double masculine SF sleep,
Yeah.
but I know it's too offensive, so I don't let it out.
Oh really?
But like I know how to use it. I just scared to use it to hurt. I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You don't want to
sometimes,
hurt people.
yeah, I don't. But like there was a few times when like I got fed up and I just used it, and I actually got
No.
positive results. So I thought, I'm
Oh really? Wow.
like I'll give you a silly example. This is a silly
Yeah.
example. So I live in Canada, and Canada's a huge country, right? And I live in the west coast of Canada, but I was making a video and I was referring to Toronto as the East Coast. So I don't know if you've heard of the city Toronto, but that's like
Oh
the
yeah.
yeah. So that's like the big city in the East Coast of Canada, right? So I said, yeah,
Yeah.
the people
Okay.
on the East Coast. So someone said Toronto's not the East Coast. The East Coast is, this provinces, whatever, you
Oh
know.
okay.
And
So
then
they were being very ST to you.
no, he's being well. if I say East Coast, people know I'm talking about Toronto. But
Okay.
if you're going by literal SD terms, then it's the real East Coast is the, you know,
Yeah, so something beyond that. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
but like from, you know, a wording perspective, no one knows. It's like I'm trying to think of another example that is kind of concrete. Okay, like so someone raged at one of my videos a while back because I
Oh,
said
okay.
that Turkey is part of the Middle East. So
Oh, okay.
this girl got upset at me, right? And she said it's not part of the Middle East or whatever, or something like that. And then I'm like, yeah, if I say Middle East, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You know, people know what the Middle East region is in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You know. So I think this person's trying to be politically correct,
Mm,
not like from a communication standpoint, correct, like
mm.
accurate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If I say
Yeah,
Middle
not
East,
accurate.
no, if I say Middle East to
Yeah.
you would know like which countries are in the Middle East,
Yeah,
right?
sort of that general area. Yeah.
Yeah, you know the general area, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But this person thinks that being correlated with Middle East is like terrorism and like all this like other stuff, right?
Mm,
And I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm talking about the region. Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to
no, it's like
communicate.
geographical. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to communicate to people so people understand what I'm trying to say. If I say Middle East, you know what I'm talking about. If I say East Coast of Canada to other Canadians, they know what I'm talking about. You know.
Yep.
So, anyways, this person like annoyed me, right? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna
What did
bash
you
him on
do?
my next video. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in my next video, I was like, hey guys, so this video is for people who live in the Middle East of Canada, and I was like, when I say Middle East, I mean Toronto. So if you're one of those nitpicking people who's like, it's not the Middle East, I'm like, shut your mouth, you know? That's what I said, right? And then like people actually
Okay.
commented and said, yeah, you're right. And they start laughing, right? I'm like, okay,
Okay.
maybe I need to use my fourth animal more. You know, like that's
Yeah.
you know,
Well, the thing is, I think you can get away with that as a double decider, like, because, you know, because there is always that sense of, you know, you're not really, really, really attacking them. Like,
yeah.
there's always this sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I don't want to dissuade single deciders from
well, I did attack them. I called them
attacking people.
idiots, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it's because you're so genial usually. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what it is?
No,
But you got away with it.
I think you're right though. Double decider can get away with it. So yeah, you're double decider. You can definitely get away with that NF double masculine sleep.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, see there
But
you go. You just change it.
well, well, part of one of the funny things was I thought, you know, there was a chance I could be masculine decider, masculine DE, because I feel very blunt. Like when I'm using my T, I'm like boom, 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 boom. Like it feels extremely blunt. But I guess my masculine DI is stronger than that bluntness aspect. So I feel like that bluntness is sort of part of the package with me, and maybe that's the double decider effect, because you see both the bluntness and the softness constantly pinging back and forth. So people kind of expect, you know, oh, I'm going to get hit one day, like, you know, so maybe that's part of it as well.
I don't.
But yeah, but I don't know. I still feel like that tiger in the cage, especially because it's NF. Like, I feel like if I attack someone on the like NF basis, I would be, you know, punching them in the soul or something. But having said that, that's because I'm projecting my own FI.
Yeah,
because I'm punching people. Yeah. Like, because if I punch an FE person, apparently they don't care. So it's like, okay, maybe I should practice on FE people because they won't care because their feelings aren't personal.
Yeah, it's more like the TI to get offended over. So if you call them stupid or like low intelligence,
That's right.
get offended.
Although I don't think I would ever call a TI that, because like I definitely see TIs as like, oh, you're a lot smarter than I am. So it's like, you've got to be scared of them.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe in some aspects
You're TE, so yeah.
In some aspects they are, in some aspects they're not.
It's the practical aspect of TE which kind of beats out the TI. It's more practical. It just comes up with a solution.
Yeah, I feel like if you're TI, you have to be in like the right place at the right time, you know?
Yeah, for whatever suits your TI.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're in the wrong place, then your TI is just stupid. No offense. But like, you know, but you know.
You've got all the IPs going, oh my gosh. You activate all their daemon functions now.
Yeah, I am for sure. I do feel like there is such thing as like the right place at the right time, and you know.
There is, yeah. And if you find your niche as a DI, then you're so golden, like you're so good at it. So it's just, for DIs, they just need to find their niche.
Did you read that book, Outliers? by Malcolm Gladwell, the ENTP guy?
No, I do like him in general though. I read another book of his, but I can't. It was years and years ago. So yeah,
Well, I just
so
thought it
he
was
was talking about that.
no, because in the book he broke down like people who are famous, like Bill Gates, Michael Jordan, the Beatles, and Michael Jordan is TI lead, and so is Bill Gates, right? And he pretty much just said like for Michael, especially for Bill Gates, he was in the right place at the right time,
Yeah. I know, because in any other circumstance, it's kind of like, who are you? And yeah, no, because there's been articles in the news about him, with the divorce and everything, and
Right.
and it's kind of, yeah, and socially, I just kind of read the stuff he does, and I think, oh my gosh, like that is not how you do social interaction. But yeah, that's just him.
I think he's a gray person. I don't think he's bad. I think he's gray because he does a lot of good for the world, even though he does a lot of messed up things too. So he's like gray.
Yeah. There you go. There's your double deciding.
No, because he goes to Africa and like actually like does good things. Like he's actually
and the
there.
Toilet and everything. Yeah,
electricity, water. Like it's
because he could just use his money and sit on an island somewhere and just do nothing with it. Like,
well, he can pay someone to do it, which he probably does, but he's there himself to oversee it, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what you mean. Yep.
So it's not like so he's like
it's not lip service. Yeah,
it's not lip service. Yeah, exactly. He's there. He's present. He's doing it, and he wanted to do it.
Really
he wanted to do. Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's great. I don't think he's a pure bad person. I think he's a.
Oh no.
I think he's someone that has light and dark. He's a human being.
Yeah, everyone has light and dark. You're going to excel in some areas and be terrible in other areas, and that's what OP is about as well. So
yeah, or he's like a good person in some area, and he's a bad person in some area. So it's like
yeah, like the math kind of works in his case.
Yeah.
It seems. Yeah, the description, the type description seems to be like, yeah, that's pretty accurate for Bill Gates.
Your NI last, but your NI is masculine. So can you tap into it, or do you have trouble using your NI? Do you have trouble planning for the future?
Yeah. Well, I can do like planning. I feel like I would not have been surprised if I'd come back with ENFP, even though I knew I was not NE, because I feel like I do a lot of SI style planning because, I just, well, okay. So if we're going on a trip, I will project into the future, all the stuff we're going to do, and then I'll pack accordingly. So that's how my NI gets used. And I think because, being a mum, like now there's a lot of responsibility, looking after the kids. And I see a lot of, this behavior now that they're doing has bad implications for the future. So we need to change this now before it becomes a problem. And so I tend to jump on that a lot earlier than my husband does. And because I think his blast lasts, so I have to use my demon blast to kind of get that in line. So he really doesn't want to control the kids at all. But I'm like, we're the parents. It's our role to kind of, you don't have to think of it as control, it's teaching them. Because I think his mum is blast at the top. So he was always very like, I don't want to do the same thing to my kids. Because he's, if you blast too much, then people stop listening. And that's the problem with that. Like, you can blast all the good stuff you want, but if you're blasting all the time, then people are going to be like, whatever, like, especially if they're your kids, then they're probably going to rebel at some stage. So for me, a lot of their upbringing has been, what behaviors are we doing now? What behaviors are we allowing them to do now that are going to affect their future? And then, but sometimes the problem with that is because I'm info dominant, when I explain it to my kid who's 9, and I've done this all his life, I give him all the information. Like I will tell him, this is the implication of blah, blah, blah. It's just this little kid. And I'm just explaining, this is the impact of what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And so he's pretty good about it. His eyes just kind of glaze over, but I just feel like I'm kind of giving him way too much information. And my dad did the same thing to me. So I think I'm just living out what my dad did. But I always thought it was really useful because when it's not just an order and the understanding behind it, then you're more likely to do it because it's not just, oh, someone's trying to control me. It's, oh, there's, this has benefits for me too. And I think that's like purely me projecting my functions out there because it's like, I don't want to be controlled and I want to make the decisions. So give me the information. And if the information is good enough, I'll make that decision myself. So, so I think that's what was at play there. But in terms of NI planning, as in 10 years into the future or 5 years or even 1 year. Really, I don't do any of that. It's just kind of whatever happens, happens. It's for me, it's more this vague sense of we're on this trajectory and I don't want to be on this trajectory. I want to be on that trajectory instead. And that's pretty much as far as it goes. It doesn't go specific. So hope that kind of makes sense.
Maybe your kid is consume last. That's why he doesn't listen to you. It's just glazes over.
I think he is. Like he's a really sweet kid. But yeah, he definitely I've told him with instructions, please read the instructions 2 times so that you'll get them, because he just reads them once and nothing goes in. So it's like, just go back and read it a second time. And that's helped. So yeah, it's just like knowing OP really helped for that, because it was like, oh my gosh, how can he still be getting this wrong? It's like written there, SI steps 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, so it's just the consume last.
Consume last kid, eh? That's kind of tough.
Yeah. No, but he's really like, he's like a little old soul. I think when you're consume last and sleep last at the top, which is what he is, you just come across as this old wise little person, like in a little person's body, and it's like a really cute combination. So he's always been like that.
He's a sage, but he made up the information in his head.
Yeah, it's like, where does it come from? Like, you didn't consume it. Like, I think it comes through by osmosis. Like they actually consume it, but they just don't realize it. And it's
passive consumer.
Yeah. Just like,
yeah.
If enough waves hit me, some of it will go in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess so. It's like a funnel, but it's a small funnel, so it's like a little bit of drops that comes in once in a while. Like
yeah, and then it needs to be sort of transmuted into their OI language as it goes in. Yeah, but that's where I think having an info dominant mum helps, because I'm willing to use all my energy to explain. I'll just be like over explain rather than under, which I guess is not good for consume last, or maybe it is good. I don't know. If the osmosis theory works, then that is good.
Maybe when they're older, they'll appreciate it. But for now, they're probably thinking,
especially, it's like, why? Why are you telling me all this?
Well, they probably just think you're draining their energy,
Oh yeah, I definitely am. And I can see it happening, but I'm still going. It's just like, stop. But yeah, it's just, no, I need to tell them this. So
now I can relate to you. You can't stop being accurate with information because you're info dominant.
Oh yeah, it's so important, information. My husband's energy dominant, so it's like, how do you do it? How do you even do that? Yeah. But yeah, he just sits around and he's quite happy.
So you're giving information, but your extrovert sensing is feminine. So do you forget a lot of stuff you're about to tell your kids or your family members? Because it's
not at the time, because I pretty much am immediate. Like if I need to tell something, I immediately tell it, but I'll forget about it very soon afterwards. So there's not much follow through.
Yeah.
Like unless it's super important, like because I feel like I've given you all the information. Now it's yours to do stuff with.
Okay.
It's not my job to keep you in line. So I think that's also where the lack of sleep comes in, because I don't hold on to that line of thought. So yeah, definitely. And also, during this conversation, I'll start, I've got lots of bird chatter going on. So I'll start talking about something and I've got a point, but then I go on to something else and channel change and I forget my original point. I think, oh gosh, I was meant to be telling you something. But so that's why I kind of peter off into nothing, because it's like, wait a second, there was some point I was supposed to make.
I think because you have blast, you do get to the point eventually. Because
yeah.
Because I interview people who are like consume, play, sleep blast, and they never get to the point. And I'm like, oh my god, like it's just like it's like what David Shan said, like the consume, play, sleep blast, or play, consume, sleep blast. Like they'll talk in circles forever, and there's no sense to what they're saying, because there's no blast, right? And you're like, what? And you're like dying inside,
Yeah, because you're info dominant, so it's like, this is important. I need to listen to every word.
Yeah, like a consume, play, or play, consume. With the blast watching this right now, they're probably thinking, are you shitting on me? I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Double deciders.
Get to the point. Get to the damn point.
I don't think, did you notice that before you knew about OPS, like about ops? Did you notice that kind of?
Well, I did notice I was talking to some people who are like talking in circles. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? Can,
Yeah, just condense it, please. Condense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't really talk on that respect because I'll just like I'll fill the room with words to try to get that little funnel of information across. But
Yeah, like I interviewed like an ENFP before who's consumed sleep, play, blast, and he like literally talked for like 15 minutes about this one thing, and he could have told me that in one sentence, because after he said all that stuff, I told him, I repeated it back to him in one sentence. So I'm like, so you're trying to tell me this, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm like, oh, my girlfriend would like spend 2 hours telling me a story, and it's like going in
right,
circles.
last year.
And I'm like, and then I'm like, so you're saying this? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my god, you could have just said this one word or one sentence, It's not concise.
So the sleep first doesn't help. Like I thought that might be helpful in terms of compressing the information.
Okay, so the good thing about the sleep above play is at least the emotion or thought process, the point of the emotion
that's true.
process.
Yep.
But the point of the story is still not complete until
okay.
2 hours. Yeah.
Well, it's good that you're there then. You can give her the point.
Yeah. No, the info dominant definitely helps with that, like nonsense, not nonsense. Your play is a double feminine and it's ST. Yep. So you're like savior ST, but it's double feminine. So you're gonna forget all the ST. How does that work? That's kind of funny. Yeah. It's a weird contradiction.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's very annoying. But I think like you know how they've got the modalities with the like I'm visual or tester or something like that because I've never really. But I feel like if I do something often enough, it's sort of in there. And even though I won't be able to recall it, if someone asks me, like, what are the steps? What are the processes? I won't be able to recall it. But if I go back and start doing it again, like it's like the bicycle, learning to ride a bike. It's in your body. So in that sense, like when it's doing stuff, I can redo it. But I think, when it comes to pure ST information recall, like it's an answer on an exam or something like that. No. I was always the cram everything in the 2 weeks before the exam because I have enough short-term memory to remember that for the exam. And then, straight after the exam, it's like wiped out of my head. So, but so for me, everything I learn is more on a practical sense. Like if I think it's the FI, like if I love it enough, then it will go in because I care about it. So, I'm using my consume to kind of explore. And for some reason, that kind of stuff sticks. But if it's, a coursework or something like that, where I have to learn someone else's information, which I don't really care about, it's like, okay, well, I'll learn it for you, but I'll forget it the next day because my brain cells don't want to hold on to that. Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's weird because you're info dominant too. So you're info dominant.
Yeah. So I care about the information. I care that it's disappeared.
No, it's weird. I've always been fascinated. I'm like, so info dominant, feminine sensory.
Yep.
How can you be info dominant if you can't remember anything? It's like, so
well, it's just, I think there's like a few steps to the recall. Like it is in there because I remember one of the interesting things was I kept talking in my typing videos going, I don't have a memory. I don't remember anything. And then someone pointed out that I told my entire life story in my video. So it's in there. It's just I don't go back and think about it. Maybe that's also lack of SI. It's because I'm SE. I'm looking at the new rather than the old. But it is in there. Like it's like I've lost the index card to find the information.
Yeah.
But it's all sort of in there. But if someone shows me the index card, I can bring it up. So it's kind of interesting in that sense.
Maybe you're remembering it from a visual standpoint, like not from.
I really remember things visually. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you can be info dominant from a visual standpoint, not from a sensory standpoint, from a visual standpoint. I know it's kind of weird. It's weird, but it's okay.
Yeah, like how do you remember stuff? Yeah, like the idea of being kinesthetic and remembering stuff through, like I can remember stuff through my body, like the inner kinesthetic sense. I'm sure there's a word for that, but in terms of remembering external objects and how they felt or tasted like, or I don't have that. Whereas I think my husband has that because we'll go to a restaurant and he'll say, "How does this compare to all the other versions we've had before?" And I'm like, I have no clue. Like this one tastes nice. That's it. Yeah, but he will have like a list of what's better, what's So it's just it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, being auditory is kind of interesting. I'm auditory, right? Audio kinesthetic.
Yeah. So you
Like,
remember things through
well,
sound?
the weird thing about me is I can walk in the dark if it's like my mom's house where I grew up in or my apartment right now, and I can get around the place even if it's completely dark, even
Oh,
because of the audio kinesthetic. But like,
okay.
I don't know. Do you know the superhero Daredevil? I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but don't actually know.
Okay, well, his power is sonar. So when he hits the ground, it like creates a
Oh, yep,
wave, and like, it
yep.
bounces off the wall, and that's how he can kind of visualize like what the room. So one time I was wearing earplugs, and I tried to go to the washroom, and I couldn't. I didn't know my way, and 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 I realized I'm like, oh, I know my way around the dark because of the sound. Like when I'm hitting the floor, I know, like,
That is so bizarre.
subconsciously, I know where the
It's
wall
really
is.
cool, but yeah.
No, but it was all
Oh,
subconscious. I didn't know that. But when I put the earplugs on, I couldn't get around anymore. I was bumping into things, and I was like, oh. So I was like,
yeah.
so it's
Because I would have completely thought that it was your feeling, your feet know the pattern of the floor, or
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's sound based.
No, it's not. It was the vibrations of like when I took a
Oh,
step,
yep.
I could, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's weird. The vibrations is what gave me that spatial awareness. I don't. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe
Um,
maybe you're part dolphin, so
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
just
yeah, I am.
like
Yeah,
or bats. Yeah, bats do that as well.
yeah.
Yeah, got to bring in the sensory somehow.
So you are also a tester. So you like to experiment and try different things at like obsessive level. So how do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
is it
Well, I
with
think
food
I think
or
no, not with food because I'm fussy eater. Like
okay?
yeah, my husband's the one who wants to try new food. That's why I thought I could be SI because I just habitually eat the same thing all the time. I
Yeah,
habitually wear the same clothes all the time. Like I just don't try new things. But I think it's the way I learn, which is the tester way, because it is that thing where I can't read something off a piece of paper and learn it. I need to actually do it, and then as I'm doing it, I'm kind of um, like for some reason doing things helps me to remember things better. I guess maybe that's a blast thing. When you blast to learn, you got to do the stuff to learn.
yeah. Playbook.
Um, yeah, so that's not really tester. Yeah, that's the one actually. I could understand audio and kinesthetic, visual. They all have some meaning, but
Yeah.
tester was like, what is that? So that's what I've always been kind of thinking.
Well, I can give you examples from what I've seen, so maybe that can help you
Yeah, yeah,
find the right index card in your head.
yeah.
Yeah,
Help me with the ST.
like okay, for example, like I interviewed someone before who likes to go to restaurants and try the different sauce just for the sake of trying it. My girlfriend
Oh,
also likes to
okay.
try different food, but it doesn't have to be food. Like I know a
Yeah.
girl who's double feminine and she likes to like date a lot of different guys because she likes to test drive a lot of guys.
Testing the
So
guy.
it's so
Okay.
it's a lot of like
Yeah.
experimentation, like a lot of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying. Yeah, I noticed
Yeah,
that.
I think that's what I mean by, doing the stuff like that. I think that's maybe what I'm saying by doing the stuff, like actually getting in there and trying things. So, yeah, so I think that's, yeah, because I'll just try things. Like, because I tend to think of it, because I think I have heard the example of food, and because I associate myself with, picky eater,
Yeah,
I thought, no, I'm not a tester. But, um, but I think I watched the interview with Guy, and he said he just tries random stuff to
yeah,
solve problems. And I do that to an extent, but I think because of the feminine sensory, I'm not as pushy with it. Because I've got in my head an example, like, because my husband and I like doing escape rooms. And I think maybe he's kinesthetic because he will like get in there and push things and pull things and move things around. And I kind of associate that with tester because I think he's testing stuff out. Whereas I'll stand back and take everything in and, take in all the clues, and then think and think and think until I have the solution. And then, that's usually right. Whereas my husband's like pushing things around and doing everything to find the solution. So anyway, like I've lost my point now. But I think maybe the tester aspect comes in when I'm not actually fully solving things, but I'm like kind of, yeah, it's sort of like a more gentle process of, poking things, prodding things, not to get the solution, but to find out information about it.
yeah.
Maybe that's the difference. Whereas my husband's doing it fully to try to smash the locks and things like that.
Yeah, it sounds like your husband's just being a dude, just trying to like destroy things, trying to like brute
Oh,
force
he
something.
annoys me so much in an escape room because I'm like, it's about the brain. You're supposed to solve these problems. They give you clues. And he's like, no, you just brute force it. And
Yeah.
just like, yeah. And I'm like, go away. So yeah, we have lots of arguments in escape rooms.
That's where you get your marriage problems out of the like it's like a
That's
therapy
right. Yeah,
therapy
no,
session.
it's a therapy, like just get out all the
escape
aggression.
escape room is your
Yeah.
therapy.
The next is paintball, so we can just shoot each other and feel
Yeah,
better afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah.
He gets see he's not trying to solve the puzzle. He's trying to get his emotion out by destroying those.
Maybe.
Like, trying to break the lock.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get the fastest time possible. And it's like, but that's not the spirit of these rooms. Like, you're supposed to solve the thing. The joy is in solving it. And for him, the joy is in beating it. So it's a very slightly different
Maybe
emphasis.
that's your consume. You're trying to savor the process, but he's just trying to complete it. You know.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
could be. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's very much on the, is the energy, maybe energy versus info dominant there as well.
Yeah.
Because he's just, I want to finish this and I can go back to sitting down. And I'm like, oh, the information is very important.
You said your husband's TI?
I think it's TI, but I go back and forth and all over the place. It's just, for me, it's the presence of that strange form of FE, which makes me think he's TI. And he's also DI, and I don't think he's FI. So that's why it kind of makes me think TI.
TI people are weird because they don't know what they like. Like
Yeah, well, I think that's why our relationship kind of works, because even though, on paper, you want the TI to be with the FE person and so on and so forth. Like for us, it's like, I think he sees my MFI as, sort of a guide for how our family is going to go, because he knows that I know what my values are, I know what my morals are.
right.
And I set the tone, and he happens to agree with that tone. I think if I valued something else, he wouldn't be with me, but because my values happen to be in alignment with something that he found okay. Yeah, but he's not doing it through an FI way, I don't think. Like, yeah, it's interesting. Like, we did think about getting him typed, but once I told him that you need to make a video that's at least half an hour long, he went, no, because he's like, no, I will answer those questions in 5 minutes and that's it. Like, so he's really, yeah, that's probably why there's a whole bunch of people who are not being typed, because they see that barrier of 30 minutes and think, no.
Well, would he have done it if he did a phone call with them?
I don't know. Like,
that's an other option, right?
Yeah, that would be probably if it was, at a convenient time for him and stuff like that, because he's not interested enough.
Play last?
Yeah, I go between blast and play last, but he's so, unless it's FE blast, in which case that's a bit different to TE blast, which is probably what I'm looking for. But he's so not controlling, like, which is interesting. But he's manipulative though. He's very good at it though. You don't know you're being manipulated, and like, I think what he likes about me is I personally see through it, and I have none of it. I'm like, no, you can't do that to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, she's a challenge. Yeah, so we have an interesting dynamic.
Maybe it's an INFJ, like an NI.
I've wondered about that, because they did have that. I think it was Cesar Milan, who's an INFJ, and they said INFJs often like end up with an ESFP. Like, they often sort of adopt an ESFP. Yeah. And my husband's told me that one of the reasons he likes me is because I give him information, like, so he doesn't have to go and get it himself. Yeah. Because I just, like, I'll find out stuff, I'll go out into the world, and they'll come back and be like, blah, 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 blah. And he just has to take it in.
Maybe he's like a high consume INFJ, like a sleep consume play blast, or sleep consume blast play, or something like a.
He could be. Yeah. He could be. Like, it's quite interesting. Like, I would really like him to get typed, but it's up to him really. Like, I don't control him, so it's that thing as well.
People with FEs are funny because like, I've heard FE people tell me before, it's like, so how should we behave then, or what's the right way to act? I'm like, what? Why are you asking me this? Shouldn't you know already? Like, so they're trying to ping off the tribe what's like the right way to behave.
Yeah.
But the TI is personal, right? So don't tell me how to do things, but to feel, how to feel. Yeah, you can tell me how to feel. I'm like, what? That's so weird.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, I think.
Yeah, like one of my friends, like growing up, he's one of my best friends. I think he's an INTP. I think Dave and Shan, when they actually met him, so I think they did confirm he's an INTP. And he doesn't know what he likes. It's so weird. It's like he's like energy dominant, right? So we were trying to host a bachelor party once, and he didn't want to go because he had to drive all the way from Seattle to Vancouver, which is a 3-hour drive. Okay. So because he lives in the US now, but it's like I can drive to the US in 1 hour, right? But like, so he's like, but I know, because I know him, I grew up with him, I know for a fact that he will probably enjoy himself more than everyone will. So I
Oh, okay.
so I had to go through all my like I had to go through a lot of hoops and BS to get him to convince him to come. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, when he did show up, he did have more fun than everyone else.
Yay!
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm like, he's not even aware that he's having fun too, because his Effie's in the bottom, right? I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
So
Well, I really like that. I really like the TI leads. Like I think I'm sort of subconsciously obsessed with TI leads because pretty much all the people I've suggested to Dave and Shan as typing suggestions, they're
yeah,
all TI leads who've found their FE.
you're
And I
fascinated by
just love
TI.
that. I'm fascinated. Yeah, I'm really fascinated with that. Like I love the archetypical, grumpy person who
Yeah.
suddenly becomes loving and caring. Like, and the FI people can have that as well because TE is also loving and caring. It's not as obvious like when the TE comes out because it's T. But I see TE actions as very loving, but that's because of my own bias as well.
So since learning op, what was some things that you used to think at one point, and then now it's like totally different because you now know
Yeah.
what you now know what you know. Is there, do you have any of that like because I have one big one that happened to me, which I can tell you in a second, but I want to hear yours first.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, yeah, TE was probably the big one because I thought I was INFP in the beginning. So
Yeah.
the enemy of the INFP is the ESTJ. So I was thinking like ESTJs are so mean and they're so cold and whatever. But the person I was mad at probably wasn't even an ESTJ. It's just I
Right.
thought they were. But learning about ops and learning about the big heart behind what TE leads to,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. Like I find it really sweet. And looking back, my closest friends and the people I got most along with were like double masculine TE at the top people because it was like we could have these conversations and you could have you know, FE inappropriate conversations and they were okay with it because it's like FI doesn't care. And you could get into really deep, dark stuff. And we, just like doing that. And it's kind of safe for everyone to do it and no one's getting offended. And yeah, it's just, yeah, the dynamic is really good between TE and FI. But yeah, I've had to learn to be a bit more appropriate with my husband as well. But the good thing is because he is TI, he has less caring about FE appropriateness. But anyway, that's one of the things. And I think no, everything else was pretty normal. I think it was mainly that TE is loving and caring as well because it's generally referred to as business like and stats and yeah, and they're mean and they're just micromanagers and stuff. Like there's a lot of stereotypes that need to be destroyed when it comes to TE.
So the
But
takeaway is
yeah,
that the ESTJs are not the enemy.
yes, that they're nice. They're really nice. Yeah, and what were you going to say about your own 180?
Well, I think for me, like growing up, I had a lot of friends that I thought was an INFP,
Oh,
but
okay.
and I thought that INFPs were like the people that I naturally got along with because that's what I thought. Knowing the old fashioned Myers Briggs,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And even in my professional life, I work as a personal trainer, right? So I thought a lot of my clients. I mean, I know I have a lot of INFJ clients, but I thought my other clients before were ENFPs. They're not. Now that I know op, they're not. All my
Oh,
clients,
okay.
all those INFPs that I was friends with, they were not INFPs at all. They were all jumper INTJs, and
Ooh.
and they feel and look the same, like NIFI, right? So
Mm.
um, and I was like,
Yeah, it's just
holy
they're not using any. Yeah, that's it.
no, but like now that I know about it, I'm like, holy shit! All those people I know in the past, they were all INTJs. They're all jumper INTJs. That's why I got along with them because they're my
Yeah,
opposite.
it's that ENFP INTJ thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought they
Yeah,
were
because
INFP
you're
because
in NT as well. You're a jumper too. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I didn't know that like if you think about INTJ like in the old-fashioned way, they're like the cold, ruthless mastermind
Yeah.
strategists, right?
Yeah.
But then
Mm,
the NIFI are completely different animals.
yeah.
They're just like I'll do whatever I feel like, it's like you know. So like I'm looking back at my clients now because like since I learned about op, I started doing a rewind of all the weird shit my clients said to me, right? Like I remember one client said to me, "You can't drive your car with your thumbs inside because I had an uncle that the wheels turned, he broke his thumb." And I'm like, you're crazy, you're stupid. Like, why would you freak out about that? Like the chance that happening is so low. Like your thumb is in the middle of the steering wheel, it turns and you break it. He's like, it's real. It's gonna happen to you. And then
Oh, that's an
and now
RJ
I think
thing.
about it, I'm like, oh, that's SE chaos. They're scared of SE chaos, eh? Like that's
Yeah,
like
pre-planning for all those thing.
Yeah, for your thumb to like
Yeah.
you can hold the car like this because it's gonna go like this. Like what the
Yeah.
hell? It's so
Ever
dumb.
since I learned, when Dave shared that he carries a hammer all the time, and I'm like, what? And it's like, okay, if that's NI, then I really don't have it's
Yeah.
interesting one, that one.
Yeah, no, it's just I just like yeah, now that I know, like even some people like I've seen in class, I'm like, wait, I have a friend who looks like this person. I thought they were like an INFP, but they're a jumper INTJ. What the hell? Like
Ooh.
so that's kind of my biggest and my girlfriend, I was just shocked too, right? Because like, what she's an
Oh, did you
INTJ?
think she was
I thought she was an
what?
ENFP because she's so chaotic, right? And she's all
Oh, yeah, yeah,
abstract.
yeah.
But then when they type her as an INTJ at first, I was like, really? And then I sat and paused and I looked back at like every time she freaked out, I'm like, oh, okay, she's scared of chaos. I get it. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
can't deny the fact that she's always paranoid something bad's gonna happen. That's irrational,
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, that
Fair
makes sense
enough
now.
then.
It makes
And
perfect sense.
you'd be afraid of the like, I guess, tax receipts and
Who?
filing,
Who?
because you're NE, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I am scared of that, but I have ST Savior, so
Oh,
uh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so
It's not too bad.
I'm not as bad as the
And
other
it's
ENFP.
masculine, yeah.
No, I'm scared of it, but I do have like my taxes are, I would say 99.9% filed correctly. Like maybe there's like a
Okay, yep,
yeah. I mean, if I make a mistake, it was like an honest mistake that it's probably not a big deal.
yep,
Like probably the CRA, the Canadian government will probably be like, okay, well, it's a few cents, so just pay a few cents and that's fine. I'm like, okay,
yep.
because I have INTJ friends that like when they file their taxes, they literally just like I'm like so because for example, I'll use a concrete example because you're uh
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah like okay like I have a friend who's an INTJ and he in Canada when you sell a product online or in person you have to charge the customer tax um
Oh, yeah,
but
GST.
but but when you're selling yeah like GST or PST but like
Mhm.
some sales tax so but when you're selling things online it's a little bit more muddy like
Mm,
what if you're selling someone from outside Canada because they don't have
yeah.
to pay taxes right
Mm.
so I'm like okay so you have customers all over the world because he has an online business he teaches dance how to dance for men online and
Oh, okay.
yeah it's a cool business and he so I'm like so you have to pay the government tax for all the Canadian customers that purchase from you.
Hmm.
Anything over $30,000, you have to pay taxes. So
Yep.
how do you track how much tax you need to pay for the government? And his
Yeah.
answer to me horrified me. He said, "I just make a guess and I put it on the tax."
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What would
Yeah,
they?
no, you
What
can't
would,
do that.
if they audit you, you're fucked."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Okay.
he's like, "Yeah, there would be no way for me to validate it if they check, but I can't be bothered." That's what he said to me. I'm like, "Oh my god, what
Oh,
if you can't be
yeah.
bothered?" Like,
Like
oh my
that's where
god.
this chaos comes in because okay, yeah, yeah. I think my husband's got NI then because oh my gosh, yeah, like the guessing. It's like guessing to me it's an irresponsible degree of guessing.
I can't
It's
be
like oh,
bothered to like
yeah, I know.
when the government comes and audits your shit, you're gonna have so much chaos that
Oh,
you won't be able to run your business. They might even shut
yeah,
down your
no.
business.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, are you going to go to jail or something
Yeah,
like
you could go
that?
to jail. Yeah, exactly. You could
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
jail.
because it's tax fraud, isn't it? Like,
That
oh,
is tax fraud. Yeah, you're right. That is tax
yeah.
fraud.
It's
I'm
like, oh
like,
no, we've exposed your friend. We have to cut this bit of the interview.
what's that?
We have to cut this bit of the interview
Well,
because
no
now
one
we've
no one knows who
exposed
my
your
friend
friend.
is.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah. Well, unless they're an EP and they track down like, okay, who's this dancer friend? You know.
Yeah, no, like I know some ENTP. But
Yeah, but yeah, some GPP or ENFP like let's go track this down.
yeah, find the information.
But yeah, I was just horrified when I heard that. I'm like, oh, I'm info dominant, so, and I have ST, so I
Yeah. Oh,
respect
yeah.
ST.
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay, like my girlfriend right now is struggling with this. She's so scared that she's going to go to like she's going to be accused as a tax cheat or tax jail because
Oh, okay.
my girlfriend is born in the United States, so
Okay.
she's American, but she would never live there. She was literally just born there, and then she moved to Canada and Hong Kong, right?
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
But US is one of those countries. There's only two countries in the world that taxes you on your international earnings, regardless if you live there or not. And the US is one of the two. And my girlfriend has backlog of back payments that she has to pay to the US government that she has never paid. And now she's dealing with it with like a accountant, and it's like the biggest nightmare because like it could be a lot of money, right? And I'm like, oh my God, those damn INTJs, they just avoid, they put the sensory under the rug and hope that it goes away.
Yeah, just ignore it kind of thing.
It's not gonna go away. You have to pay your taxes. You have to declare the right number.
They'll come after you, your taxes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh. It's horrifying, you know.
Well, at least she's got an accountant to help her with that process, I guess.
I think that accountant she's dealing with energy dominant too right now, because I tried to refer her by accountant. I think my accountant's an ISTJ, but I think mine is info dominant and blast play. I think he's blast play because he's very playful, and he's like, when I message him, he replies back to me like within like 5 seconds.
Yep.
And yeah, he talks a lot of shit to me too. And my accountant's weird. He talks a lot of shit to me, you know. But and so I referred to my accountant because my accountant's info dominant. But then my accountant said I don't do US taxes. So I'll refer him to someone else, and that someone else is, I think, energy dominant with like blast last. And I'm like, oh my girl was like, I heard nothing from him. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the part about blast last, which I find hard to deal with, the lack of communication. Sometimes it's like sometimes you kind of need to know things. So yeah, when I found out I was blast third, so I knew it was still a demon. Yeah. Like I kind of ramped up I need to communicate what's happening, and because that's something that when people don't do it with me, it's so annoying. So it's like, well, there's places where I don't do it because it's a demon. So it's like, okay, I got to get better at that part. So yeah, I think it's useful looking at the people with whatever last and to see what voids they're leaving, and then you kind of say, so where am I leaving that void? So that's what I'm doing.
Your blast NP, can you do the same blast with those INTJ people? Can you give can you make up those concepts that they create? Like they have like those abstract concepts that they make. Like do you know Robert Kiyosaki?
No.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, or whatever.
I'm only thinking of Lijo because she's blasty. I don't think I've ever really tried to do that. Like, in a sense, like my previous job was distilling things into NT Blast because my job was as a explainer at a science museum. So I had to write down the panels which explained the science behind everything that was going on. So I'm not sure if that's ST or NT Blast because I am talking about scientific process, which is generally ST, but I'm also talking about concepts, which is NT. So I'm not sure which it is like, but I've always felt that I can do the ST blast, which was why, I thought maybe SI for me, because I feel like when I explain things, especially to my kids, like I'm going step by step by step by step, but maybe that's just because my brain's saying, this is a kid, they need to know things step by step by step. So I don't know.
Are you sure you're giving it step by step by step? Because I had I had an INTJ.
Yeah,
my dad.
That's a good call.
No, because my INTJ friend, he did because I used to run meetups, and like I get different speakers to come in. So he did a talk on how to make money online, right? And he was baffled that people didn't understand what he was trying to say. He's a blaster, so he assumed that it's clear. And I get it because I'm ENFP, so I get his concepts. And I said, I think you need to, so I said, I went up to him, I'm like, I think you need to make it step by step by step. And he's like, I already did make it step by step by step. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not step by step by step.
Yeah, it's not step. Yeah, because you're aware of the SI need.
No, because he step by step is conceptual step by step.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to someone that's sensory lead, right? Like he's saying, first, you need to look at the market and see what is selling in the market. And then step number 2, you need to copy what the market is doing and just make it better. And I'm like, what? Like, what does make better mean? Like, what does
Yep.
Like,
okay, I get what you mean.
But he said I made it step by step. I'm like, it's not like sensory clear.
Yeah, it's not sensory clear.
Well, that's what I'm wondering for you. Maybe you are doing it step by step, but you're doing it in a conceptual way, like where it's like abstract. I don't know.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like when I do try to do, because I think because I do have ST savior, I do feel obligated to make things very clear.
Right.
Especially for kids and stuff. So But what happens with me is my OE comes in. Like I kind of over explain, and that's the info dominance as well. So I start going, well, so in this scenario, like suppose I'm, talking about how to fry an egg or something. Well, you can use oil or you can use butter or you can use this, it doesn't matter. And so I'll try to give all the sensory, like all the options.
Yeah.
And so that muddies the waters. So I feel like I am covering a lot of sensory, but I'm doing it in an SETE way. So I'm still using my play, I think, to explain things, because I'm kind of saying, well, and I'm also doing that thing where, TE anticipates what the tribe is going to ask and answers it before the tribe asks it. And I do that as well. So I'm anticipating all the questions and then I'm answering those. And so I'm giving so much information that it's not clear at all, even though my goal was to be clear, which is, I think that's a problem with play as ST.
A quick question: how do you channel change as someone that's lead SE? Like, what are you channel changing to? I'm confused. That's one thing that's interesting to me, because you're a channel changer, right? So I have NE,
Yeah.
and I can see NE
Yeah.
channel changing, but how does SE channel changing work? Like, how do you channel change with SE?
I think it is that thinking, hey, here's some extra information I can give you. Here's some extra sensory, which is relevant.
Okay.
I guess it's relevant to the NI concept. So it's saying, well, here's some extra SE that you need. So I'm going to slap that in there, but it may not, like in my mind, it's linked to the NI, but I haven't explained how it's linked, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to, this is me doing the play thing, kind of going, maybe we can
So
figure this out.
it's also physical, right? Or concrete. So you're channel changing in a concrete way. How do you do that? Like, what are you channel changing to? Because for NE, it's pretty straightforward. So for SE, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, well, I want to know what NE is doing, like in channel changing. But I think it's just, I think, hey, here's some extra relevant sensory, like which I think is relevant, and then I just shove that in there, and then there's another bit to the story which, I think you need to know this bit of the story as well, but it comes from a different point in the timeline, which is not necessarily sequential, but it just occurred to me in the moment. Oh, this is important too, so I just slap that in there, and then this point is important too, and I'll slap that in there as well. So it all just kind of ends up being like this ball of, I just feel like I'm throwing mud in a pile, and then you end up with this big pile of mud, and in there somewhere is all the information you need. So it just feels like it's disordered information in a sense.
Okay, that's still confusing for me, but okay. Let me see if I can find a concrete example, so maybe we can find a middle ground here. So
yep.
For NE people, we use a lot of different concepts, but really it's to solve a specific thing. Like it's like there's a YouTuber, his name's Johnny Harris. I don't know if you've seen his YouTube channel, but
I consume's terrible. Like,
yeah, you only consume first, but anyway, so anyways, it's like a good kind of like he's a journalist for Vox. I don't know if you heard of the company called Vox. Yeah, so he's a journalist. He does like he used to do a series for Vox called Borders. So he goes to different borders around the world and explains the difference between like this border, this side of the country, and this side of the country, and you jump borders. So it's really cool. I like it a lot.
That is,
But then his project in Vox got stopped because of the COVID. So he had to run his own business now on his YouTube channel, and he's still doing journalistic work, but on his own terms now. And I noticed that, like, he'll talk about the most randomish stuff, like that has like, it seems like it has nothing to do with it, but it actually does, Like for example, he talked about Saudi Arabia, and somehow Saudi Arabia was linked to Osama bin Laden and the 9/11 stuff. And I was like, what? Or like recently he did a talk on why McDonald's ice cream machines are always broken, and then he went into detail, like all the stuff that's happening, and then he did have a point. I'm like, so the ice cream machine is really like some form of capitalism, why it's always broken. So it's like, so like even for me, like I'll take different concepts, but they're actually all joined together. There is actually a point. They're all linked together.
Yeah.
Yours is SE, right? So they're not linked.
Well, yeah, it's because it's different sensory. Like it's all sensory with the same underlying equation behind it. Because I see the pattern underneath everything as sort of an equation, and they all have the same equation. to them. So it's like resonance, like that builds on top of each other. Because I noticed that I see the same pattern out there. Because I remember when Dave and Chen first started talking about like everything is the same pattern, I was like, what? But it's just you see this sensory as an example of this concept. And then this completely unrelated sensory is also an example of the concept. And it's just the concept that is the same, but the sensory is completely different. So so that's because they're all linked by this underlying concept, which is invisible because it's N. Then it feels like it's completely random, but it is linked in my mind because these are talking about the same things. These are the same things. So I think that's where I channel change, because I go, well, this is an example of it, and so is this an example of it. But
Okay,
they're
so
not necessarily, yeah.
if I'm getting what you're saying right, and if I translate it into what I'm seeing,
Yep.
it seems like you're trying to say that the sensory. So you said the sensory are all within the same pattern, right? So
Oh yeah, there's an example of this pattern in this sensory. Yep.
so I kind of picture it as like a tabletop where the top of the table is the pattern or the concept, and the legs are sensory that holds it up. And
Oh, okay.
is that right? And then like, so every fact that you are giving me actually will create this tabletop at the top. I don't know. Is that how it works?
I the way I see it, it's weird. It's like I've got a bunch of turtle shells.
Okay.
And the turtle shells are all different colors, they're all different shapes.
Okay.
But underneath each turtle shell is a turtle. So the turtle is the concept. And if you lift up every shell, you'll still find a turtle, kind of thing. And but when you look at the turtles, just their shells, they all look different, kind of thing, even though they're all turtles. Like I probably should have used something else as an example. Yeah, this is probably where I could have prepared something, because I was thinking about this, like seeing the same, like things that symbolize the same idea. Like it's like it's the symbolizing the same idea. Like that's how I can put it. You see something in the world and it's just like, oh, that's symbolic of this, and then that other thing is also symbolic of the same thing. So they're all linked, but the linkage is invisible.
I think your version of the NI and SE is very different from the INTJ's version, because for them you're using the turtle idea, right? Which could probably be more accurate than the INTJ one.
Oh no.
But no, but I mean, don't second guess yourself. But like, but I'm just saying, because for them, you're saying, oh, there's different colored turtle shells, but when you lift it up, it's just a turtle, right? So it's the same as the other turtles.
Yeah.
But for them, they might just think, yeah, it's just one turtle. It's you open a shell, it's all one. It's just one turtle because one concept, right?
Everything's a turtle. Yeah.
It's just
but yeah, I'm still talking about different.
But for you, it's like no, they're all different. There's like a lot of different turtles, but they're all turtles. So for you, it's like it's still a turtle. It's just that there's a lot of shells that cover it. But for them, no, it's just one turtle. It's not even like turtles. It's just one turtle.
Well, is like maybe the way they see it is they don't even notice the shell. Like who cares about the shell, because
exactly.
Turtle. Yeah, like so that's the difference. Like I think because I'm looking, because the SE to NI, SE over NI, it's like we gather all the sensories so that we can find the NI concept. Whereas the NI people are like, I have a concept, let me look for the sensory. Or this is for people who want to find the other half.
Yeah.
Like because normally SE would just gather and not necessarily get to the point where they're finding that NI. And normally NI would be just like, I've got my concept, I don't care about the sensory. But if you kind of get into the sensory, then you're looking for the sensory to, I guess, challenge your concept and to see if it makes sense.
Oh, so if it holds up, you mean the concept?
Because I see the opposite poles of each function as kind of challenging each other, like kind of saying, I guess that's where the opposition comes from. The muscle, you've got one muscle has to be
That's why I was thinking it was a table, because you said that the sensory will challenge the concept. So if you have a tabletop and legs and you knock off one of the legs, the table will fall. So that means the sensory was not strong enough to back up that concept that you
I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? But like
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But
I had my personal turtle concept. That was my personal NI.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. That's
Yeah.
not wrong with the thorough concept, but I was just trying to picture it like,
Yeah, like as in like it's something that you're building, so it has to hold up rather than
well,
because I think I'm yeah. Go on.
okay, you're doing it the opposite of the INTJs, right? For the INTJs, they have a
Mm,
concept first, and
mm,
then hopefully they have the facts to back up the concept. Like a lot of them,
yep.
they don't. That's why people think they're full of shit, right? But the
Yep.
ones that do, the ones that do, they are unstoppable. Like Tim Ferriss, for
Yep.
example. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's FT last, he's play last, but he freaking goes after the sensory. So all his concepts are rock solid because they're support. So he had a theory, and then he went to gather the facts to support the theory, right?
Yeah. And
Um,
it happened to support it. Yeah.
but you're
Well,
an
I think
but you're an
yeah.
ESFP, so you
Yep.
don't have a theory first. You have the facts first, and then the theory is the conclusion. So how do you get to the conclusion? Because for the INTJs, they have the conclusion first, they have the theory, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
they find the facts. For you have the facts. So you have all these facts now, all this like stuff that you gathered, like, you have this big
Yep.
pile. How
Yep.
do you come up with like a conclusion to this? It's like, so I've
Well,
got all this,
because
and this is the point. Like, have you ever done
yeah,
that
yeah,
in
no,
your life?
because after a while you just can't help but notice patterns. Like you've gathered enough. It's just like you ultimately start seeing that this is the same thing.
Do
Like
you, do you have
you
any
just can't help.
sorry to cut you off, but
Examples.
do you have any concrete example in your own life that you when you did this?
Oh my gosh. Can I claim feminine sensory for this? Because I was thinking, because I wanted to prepare for this, I was thinking of it, in the weeks leading up, and I had examples. But it's more like because I think it's just thinking about things like, um, yeah, because I know I've heard people say this in similar things to what I'm saying in interviews and thinking, whatever, this is just they read this somewhere and they're just parroting it, but like it is actually what's happening. Like uh, I need an example. I can't think of any examples.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll buy you time.
yep.
Okay, let me buy you time.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so I'll use NESI as an example. Okay,
Okay.
so for me, I will read a book, take in all the
Yep.
concepts, and I know I understood the book if after I finish reading the book, I can take a piece of paper
Mm-hmm.
and summarize what I read in the book in
Yep.
step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, sensory, all sensory,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then there is a specific result. So I'll use
Yeah.
I
Like
don't know
it's
if you heard
a.
of, so there's an author in the US called Dave Ramsey. He wrote a book called The Total Money Makeover. It's the best
Okay. Yep.
example of SI because for him, it's like, how do you become
Step. 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 Step.
financially free? That's his the
Yep.
concept is financially free, right? That's the goal. So how do you become financially free? Well, he said, step 1, have $1,000 emergency savings no matter what in your checking account. So it's like clear, like you don't, right? Step number 2,
Yep.
pay off all your debt. You need to have a $1,000 savings first before you pay off your debt. And when you pay off your debt, you start with the smallest debt first, not the one with the highest interest, but the smallest one first, because the
Yep.
concept he's using is called the debt snowball, where that you build emotional momentum. That after you kill off a small debt, you feel good and you want to kill off the next one.
Yep.
And then after you pay off your debt, the next step number 3, is to have 6 months worth of emergency savings, and that's about $10,000 to $20,000, right? So
Oh gosh, that's so clear. Yeah.
yeah, it's so clear. And then
Yeah.
after that step number 4, every paycheck you get from now on, you're gonna take away set aside 10 to 15% of what you earn, and you put it in some form of investment, whether that
Yep.
be stocks or real estate, whatever you want. 10 to
Yeah.
15% must go to that, and you never touch it.
Yep.
Okay, that's not your money anymore. You never touch it. And then the next step after that, number 5, is to pay off your mortgage. So you might have to get 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever you have to do. You need to kill off that mortgage as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
Okay.
And then number 6, optional. Number 6 for him is save up money for your kids' college or university. That's optional if you have kids. If you don't have kids, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to give money to your kids, then you don't have to do that.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah,
can do that too.
yeah.
Yep.
And then number 7 is you start donating to charity, whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Just
that
the
it's like
nice
that's the
thing.
7 steps. So that's this SI. So it's step
Yeah.
by step. But there's a point to it, which is like financial freedom, right?
Yep.
That's the end goal is financial freedom, and financial stability, and you feel good. So what is like what is that for you? What is that like?
yeah, to I guess it's more like for me it's more like seeing patterns of behavior because I'm interested in people. So I will see like you know, this person acts this way, this person acts this way, this person acts this way. And
Okay.
then over time I will notice that um certain people behave a certain way and in a certain circumstance. And so, it's like eventually you get to things like lie detection and stuff like that because you know when someone's being dodgy. Um, this is very a sensory kind of example because you're trying to do something practical. But I was thinking of things like conflict resolution. Like this is sort of vaguely linked in my head, but it's things like noticing over time that, especially as a double decider, like how far you can push things in terms of trying to make your point, and what you need to do to get someone to listen to you and to be less defensive. And it's just like seeing those patterns of behavior. And you can have lots and lots of different people, but they ultimately all exhibit the same kind of general type of behavior, like in a way, when it comes to conflict resolution. So for me, one of the things is when you're trying to get someone to change their mind, what you need to do is listen, because because the idea behind that is you need to get them in a non-defensive state, because the moment someone's defensive, like it's like a kid, like, and this is the sensory which is related to the concept. It's like a kid who's holding onto a doll. If you are trying to grab that doll from them, they're going to hold it harder. So your chances of getting it are less and less the more you attack them in a way. But if you just sort of step back and, let them tell you about the doll, then they're going to possibly show it to you, which means that you're more likely to get it from them. Like they're holding onto it less tight. So that's like a sensory example of that same pattern of this is how you get someone to let go of their opinion. So it's sort of the same concept underneath, but one's a doll and one's an argument kind of thing. So you get what I mean by that? Like
Yeah. So that's a
yeah,
good example because so I'm hearing you correctly, you gather the sensory where there's this one kid with a doll holding onto it, or maybe someone else is getting defensive, and they're all different scenarios, but the one thing they all have in common is that they're all defensive. But if you listen to them, it diffuses the situation and they can let go. So
yeah. So and that would be the abstract, I guess, the concept behind it. That
it's listening.
once
Yeah, because NI is very general, right? So the answer is a general is like listening, which is like a general concept. But
yeah, and it's really fuzzy. Like I think, especially because it's NF, like which is what I'm kind of looking at. So it's really, unless I'm talking about MT, I don't know. Like I'm bad at kind of
it makes
delineating.
sense. No, that's a really good example that you've just provided, because it is true. Like all those people are getting defensive, but if you look at it from a sensory perspective, they seem different. But actually, if you look closer, no, they're all the same. The emotion is the same. They're all getting defensive.
Yeah, they're just holding on to something, and it's because you're looking like you're trying to rip it from them.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if you step back and kind of just kind of let them show it to you, then they're like, woo, yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So instead of like pushing, you take a step back and you listen and just let it go, let the feeling go out, I guess. And
yeah, and well, yeah, and then that starts bringing in different aspects of the sensory, which is where it's like being double feminine, like just that helps for me. Like a lot of it, I think, feminine sensory is it's very passive, but it's always taking in. So I'm always kind of taking stuff in. So I'm not actively going out. Like I'm not going out and finding experiences. I'm not traveling the world. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But I am, taking stuff in all the time. And I think that's the difference between the masculine and feminine. And that's why I think there's the stereotype of the ESFP who goes out and parties all the time and stuff like that, because they're looking for that new experience. But for me, I'm not. I'm just happy. Like if someone asks me to go somewhere, more likely than not, I'm happy to go along with them. Like I just kind of flow with them, but I don't have a push myself to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's I found that with a lot of feminine sensory.
Maybe that's just maybe that's a Wendy thing, instead of like
it could be maybe it's my MFI who doesn't like going out. So my MFI is like, I don't want to do stuff, like I don't want to, or maybe it's like a planning as well. I don't want to plan stuff. I just want to go out if I feel like it. So yeah, there could be a Wendy thing.
yeah, could be cultural too, because you're Asian, right? Like
Yeah, like the whole, yeah, there's, and, and also, I guess, upbringing, like my mum was very introverted, and
Yeah.
my dad is, fully ambivert. So our family is more on the introverted side. And, for Asian family, we care more about academic than other stuff. So,
Yeah, because like okay, you're like super extroverted supposedly, and then I'm play blast, and
mm.
like I didn't start going out until I was 26. Like until I was 26, I was like a hermit. I just stayed home and played video games, and
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so
Oh.
yeah. And then later on when I got older, I realized that was stupid. That was dumb to like just stay home all the time and be a hermit. So I had
Yeah,
a, I
yeah.
had a I had a party phase like 2 years where I went like
Wow.
yeah I went
That's a long
like yeah I went clubbing a lot. I went to like parties a lot, and but after 2 years was over, I went back to being a hermit again.
time.
I don't regret though. I'm glad I did it. Like
No, you do need to get out and,
to try it.
and
Yeah,
experience the world and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I do travel a lot though. Like I go to a lot of countries, so I think a lot of ESFPs
Yeah,
also
that's
do that.
just crazy to me. Like, yeah, like, because that's the stereotype, and I feel like I don't want to travel. It's my husband who drags me out and makes me travel. But the thing is, when I get there, I enjoy myself. Like, I like it when I get there, and I think that's the difference, because I think someone who's truly OI would maybe not feel comfortable when they're there. Maybe like they'd be more worried
No,
and
I
no.
100% disagree. I think the OI is the one that like enjoys traveling the most actually. Like
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
this is what I've seen because I've travel is for everybody regardless of the type. But I've seen that the OIs, it's like they don't want to do it, but if you drag them to do it, and by the time you get there, they're having more fun than you. You know?
Oh, okay. It's like the INTP you were talking about. Like, you have to drag them
Yeah,
there, but when,
exactly.
yeah,
It's like they'll like create a fake story in their head how it's gonna be miserable. And then when
yeah,
they get there, the complete opposite happens. They're like, oh my god, this is like because OI is like
yeah.
they get hit by
Because
like
they're not responsible to do it, but they want to do it. So they want someone else to do it for them so they can have
well
that
no,
experience.
they don't even want to do it because it's not in their box. So they're unaware that it can bring
Mm.
them a lot of joy. But then
Oh, yep.
when you get there, they're like, oh wow, you know,
This is the best.
they're like, oh, this is so it's just so like what is this? So interesting, you know? It's like I've seen so many OIs like that. Like I've met the OIs who are like in their 50s who's finally traveling now. And then the first
Oh,
time they leave their
okay.
country, they're like, why did I do this when I was younger? What the
I know.
hell?
Why did it?
Like like it's so weird. And then for me, I'm an EP, so by the time I go to this country, I notice that the OIs I'm with are actually having more fun than me. You know,
Oh,
because for me, I'm
yeah.
an EP, so I'm comparing my experience with other places I've been to, and
Yeah.
it's not as like our problems as
Yeah, you know the
EPs.
spectrum. Yeah.
Well, our problems as EPs, we've gathered so much that we lost that emotional high from the new. It's almost
Yeah.
like
Well,
you know,
yeah, no, because one of the things I was thinking about was, the loss of innocence in a way, because I feel like I want to get back to that innocent state where things were new, and you would be awestruck by things, and when you were kind of acting out the OI person, being like, wow, I
yeah,
feel like I want that
yeah,
again,
yeah,
and the idea that there are still people our age or even older who still experience that, like I think that's really wonderful. Like and I think, because I was thinking the other day about the internet and how through the internet we feel like we know everything and we've experienced everything. This is probably more an OE thing than anything. But and I was thinking, that's one of the things I was thinking of writing about, that um, to try to bring back that sense of wonder, that sense of, that things can be amazing. Because I think there's a lot of cynicism in the world these days, like which is understandable given world events and everything. But I think we need a bit of hope to get us through that. And yeah, I guess that's an example of me throwing random stuff, which is where the concept underneath is the same. And like, so that's a channel change, but for me, it's the same conversation.
yeah. No, I saw the channel change there. It's just something I
Yeah,
don't do because it's SE, but
yeah, that's really
I,
interesting.
I
Yeah, because and I think that's one of the reasons. Like when I'm typing people, I find NE people, unless they're super off the wall, I actually tend to type them as SI because I see them sticking to the same sensory. And I'm judging channel changing based on sensory channel changing as opposed
yes,
to conceptual channel changing.
yeah.
So yeah, that's really good. Like that's going to help me with typing.
Well, I also noticed that people who are like ESFPs, they have a more linear interest. Like
Hmm.
you still have the NI, so it's linear. Like for example, if you get into cooking, then cooking's your interest, and you know, all the sensory that you do is within the cooking bubble. Like oh,
Yeah. Like it's
let's
like
go
an
try,
obsession. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, okay, let's go try. Maybe we'll try this spice. Try this spice. Try curcumin or try turmeric. You know, and then
Yeah. But it's all within that topic.
yeah, the same topic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like for people with
I can give
any
you a
like
sensory example. Oh, yep.
yes, yeah. What's your example?
Oh, yeah. No. My houseplants. I've just gotten into indoor houseplants.
Yeah.
I'm collecting so many because that's my SE, but they're all indoor houseplants, and
Yeah.
they're all variegated, and they're all like, this is what my FI loves. This is, I guess there's some NI in there as well, like just narrowing in on this is the sensory I'm going to gather.
Right.
But yeah, like, yeah. So what was your anything?
Yeah, my girlfriend does that. We have those houseplant stuff too. The
Oh, yeah.
like weird SE stuff.
Yay.
But no, yeah, for any, it's like for me, for example, like I like traveling, I like personality types, I like
Yep.
I like fitness, I like nutrition,
Yeah.
I like MMA, I like WWE wrestling and TV.
Yeah.
Like it's such different bubbles that I enjoy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like the link between them all.
There's no link.
Yeah.
There's no link. I like different bubbles.
Yeah.
Like I
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah, so for you have one bubble but different sensory. But for me,
Yep.
I like different bubbles but the same sensory. So for
Yeah.
example, when I travel, I like to do the same things that I do here in those countries. Like I like to go to the gym in another country, which is weird. Or because it's the same sensory, right? Or
Yeah.
or I like to eat the same food there that I eat here. Or
Yep.
I like to um, the sensory that I like to do in the other country is the same that I like to do here, but in a different bubble. Like
That's that's kind of like okay.
yeah, it's weird, but it's that's the
Yeah,
end
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
It's like different bubbles, but
Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
good to learn about this kind of thing.
yeah. And then
Like,
my girlfriend's like, "What are you doing? What is all this stuff?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. They're all important. They're all equally important." I'm trying to narrow it down though. Like for me, it's like travel and personalities in the top two, right? Along with this is the third one. So, but like I can see like people with SE or /NI that axis. You guys are just like, nope, one area,
yeah.
different variety.
This is my thing. Yep.
Yeah, but different variety within that area.
Yep.
Yeah. But for me, I'm like, duh, no. It's like people who like to like explore their hometown. It's like this city, but I want to try the different restaurants in the city, the different like entertainment in the city. I'm like, no, forget that. I don't care. I have no interest in that stuff. Like
yeah, I want to go to the gym in this city, kind of thing. Like just so you're trying to are you trying to recreate the same sense of sensory within each?
yeah.
Bubble?
Okay, so I'll go to another country, right? But then I'll talk about personality types in that country.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then after I talk about personality type, I'll go to the gym in that country because it's all the same.
Oh yes. Yep.
Yeah, or like
so it's
So
it's interesting, you're controlled within the chaos.
Yeah, like okay, like right now we're talking about personality, but I'm talking about my travel. I can go into my fitness, but I'm in I'm in a different bubble now. But I'm talking about my other bubbles in this bubble.
Okay. It's like, well, it's a bubbleception. Bubbles all the way down.
Yeah, it's weird. But like also earlier you were talking about like you wish that you can have that innocence back when you were young and everything's still shiny and gives you that emotional high. I feel like we'll never have it ever again. I think it's gone.
Well, I think no, I think I've got it. I think I've got it back, but it's by because I'm doing a concerted effort to improve my old, like to look at the old instead of seeking the new.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is look at where I am and being happy where I am. Like that's my big project. Like it's just, so our house is, not the best suited for us and stuff like that. So normally we would think, let's move, because I think both my husband and I have the SE thing going on. But now I'm trying to be like, no, what we're going to do is keep this house and we're going to change the house so that, like to improve what we have currently rather than seeking a new sensory. So I think, and in terms of like that sense of wonder and awe, like it's not going to be the same, but I think if you look at stuff that you have not noticed before, this is probably more applies for SE people.
Yeah.
then you can appreciate really, really small things because there's so much sensory, there's millions of sensory around you. So this is probably like widening my FI more than anything. Like it's just saying, I'm going to get my FI to love this other sensory. So that's probably where mine comes in.
Yeah, I don't relate to the SE part, but I think the part where you're reworking the old, I think that part I relate to. I feel like the sense of wonder will never truly come back,
Yeah.
but I feel like you can have a different kind of happiness, like
Yep.
because when you build something, because we don't build, right? That's our problems. We don't build. Like you don't build on your concepts. I don't build anything concrete. But when we do take the time to build, that's when we can look at the stuff that we're building, no matter how annoying it is to organize, and we say to ourselves, like, wow, that's kind of neat. It's like it gives you a sense of
there's real enjoyment in that too. Yeah, and it's understanding that we can get enjoyment from that, which is the EP.
Yeah,
thing.
but it's not the same as, it's not an emotional high or a dopamine spike. It's more like a sense of pride and joy. Satisfaction. Yeah, like you're like, wow, that's that was hard, but there's something there.
Yeah. Like I think, and that's really worthy too. Like because I think the EP problem is that we think there is no worth in that. Like that the new will be better than.
Well, there's no joy in the old. There's the joy is from the new.
Yeah. That's annoying.
So well, we're stupid in that sense to think that way. Yeah.
It's a problem. But I think I guess that comes from maturity as well. And in a way, the EP journey is kind of good because as the body is getting older and stuff, and starting to slow down, then it's kind of it's easier to go back into the old rather than seeking the new at that stage.
So I have last two questions for you, Wendy, and then we'll wrap up with you. The first one is, I feel like the EP's job is to eventually build so that they can teach when they're older. Because the EP has gathered so much in their life that they do have a lot to share, but they don't teach because they are so obsessed with gathering. So the first part of the question is, what can you build for yourself that is meaningful, that at some point in your life you can also teach to others and also help them, with their life?
For me, it's been a journey of I guess getting on top of my emotions, like not letting my FI drive me, like I drive my FI. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, one of the things you tend to ask people with sleep last is, what are your values? Like, what's your top values? And people with FI tend to say authenticity. And for me, I think that is both true, but at the same time, it's a bit of a trap because you can get stuck being so authentic that you can't move. And I think one of the things I'm trying to do is be able to move while being authentic. And for me, I'm kind of replacing authenticity with sincerity, because I'm going to be sincere in that even if I hate someone's guts, I can be sincere in wishing them well. And so that way my behavior can reflect what I feel on the inside if I'm sincerely wishing someone well, even though I hate their guts. Because normally if I was authentic, I'd be like, I have to show that I hate you somehow. Like, so I think that is the kind of message I want to teach. Like, because I see lots of problems in today's society. There's a lot of division, there's a lot of polarization. And I think that we need to communicate. We need to meet in the middle. Like, I don't care how right you are. Society is not going to a good place while everyone's divided. So so for me, it's kind of trying to get to a stage where I can feel comfortable kind of sharing that concept, but it's hard. It's hard because I see how strongly people hold opinions, like, because I'm looking at politics and political divides, and I just see it, and it makes me feel really sad, because I think I always think that there's more that unites us than divides us as humans. That we're all just looking for safety in the end. We're all just looking for happiness. We're looking for security. We're looking for love. Like, and if we could kind of focus on what unites us, then we might be able to get somewhere. But we're so focused on what divides us that, but I'm not sure if that answers your question at all. But but I feel like there's a message in there that I guess that's the wishy-washy NF lovey-dovey message that I want to kind of send out.
I like how you're like, yeah, I threw you a bunch of facts and it's your responsibility to sort through it. I gave it to you already.
Info dominant. You're also info dominant.
Yeah, I gave you all. Yeah, go sort through it. But yeah, I did sort through it. So I think the takeaway from what you said, from the sound of it, is you can move yourself, and as long as you're sincere, then it's okay, because it's not coming from a place of hate anymore. Even though you don't like this person, you can still wish well someone that you hate.
I think it's that it's just the idea that our introverted functions, especially when it's masculine, can be a trap.
Yeah.
And it can work for good as well, but at the same time, just balance all those functions. There you go. That's how the one sentence reply to that.
Okay, and the last question is how. So it seems like you kind of solve your FI problem. Now the last problem that you need to solve is how can you solve the NF last problem? To use it so that you can use it on command. So it's not like it only comes out when you're freaked out, but you can use it whenever you want to use it.
Well, I think it's practice. And for me, it is, stopping. For me, it is just telling my consume to stop. Just be like, you're not allowed to just keep scrolling through the internet endlessly. You need to stop and you need to distill your information. And I probably just need to write stuff, because when I write, it just automatically is NF. It just goes there. And it's annoying. And for me to actually value that and look at what I've written and distill it further, I guess, just keep making it narrower and narrower and narrower. I think that's what I need to do. And that's part of the process of practicing. And I think that's how I'm going to be able to use my NF when I need to. Ramping down on the consume, practicing the sleep, which is hard because when I'm by myself, I immediately consume. I will do anything to not be by myself thinking.
Okay, I was just thinking about your NF last. So NF is purpose, right?
Yep.
What if you purposely consume? You don't consume randomly, but you consume because there's something.
Yep.
There's something specific you need to learn. So you are not scrolling for the sake of scrolling, but for the sake of learning something specific that you needed. I don't know.
It's like that YouTube playlist, the motivational playlist, and reading specific books like the ones that you suggested.
Yeah.
Which my feminine sensory can't remember now. But Kobe Bryant, yes.
The Kobe Bryant book.
I think you said Kobe Bryant. Yep. So so taking those in specifically. Yeah. So it's narrowing the S as well, narrowing that consume.
The Kobe Bryant book is he's blast, right? So when I read the book, I was like, wow, he's very abrupt. His message is very abrupt because he's blast. So he just tells you the answer. That's it. There's no but it's good.
Because you go one of two ways. Either it goes in circles or you have a very quick.
It's very concise. It's like boom. That's it. Boom. That's
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
I like concise.
No, it was easy to understand because it was concise, boom. Because I'm reading this book right now. See, I'm reading this book right now, and and the book is
that's big.
This person is just ranting the whole time. I'm getting pissed off.
But do you feel like you need to finish it? Do you ever just kind of leave a book halfway through?
No, I'm gonna finish this book. But so when I read, I go to two modes, right? I go to a speed read mode and I read slowly. So when I notice that they're just ranting about bullshit, then I speed read, right? I'm like, yeah, you're still bullshitting. Yeah, you're still pissed off. Yeah, shut up. Goddamn, get a life. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah. My favorite kind of books are the ones where I'm reading the whole thing and I don't have to speed read because there's no bullshit part.
Yep.
There's no filler.
The whole thing's engaging. Yep.
Yeah, I think the books that are written by blasters, they're full of fillers. But so.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I haven't consumed enough of informational books to find patterns for those.
All right,
I'll
Wendy.
get back to you once I get all the SE.
thanks for coming out and doing this interview.
No, no.
We had it like a few weeks in the making, so we finally made it happen. Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, no,
So,
thank you for having me on your show.
yeah, so take care, and I think it's the morning right there, so enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep. Okay. All
All
right.
right,
You
see
too.
you.
Okay. See you. Bye.